Yeah, good day to you. It's Chris Dangerfield, and look what I've done to my lovely environs. I've got flowers, I've got a sexy lady silhouette, I've got ratus, and I've got drugs, and that's what I want to talk about. I'm for legalisation across the board. The current plans are not working. The drugs war is probably one of the biggest man-made humanitarian crises in the history of humanity. Whole countries have been ravaged by this bullshit. Have a look at Johaan Harry's book, Chasing the Scream. The start and end of the drugs war. Brilliant. When you find out about Mexico, it break your heart. An absolute travesty. This is nonsense what's going on. We as a culture, globally and historically, take drugs. Loads of them. Rather than trying to ignore it, rather than complaining that the kids today are taking different drugs to you and your parents, fuck all that. We take drugs. Let's try and do something sensible about it. Look at the situation in Afghanistan. Since 2006, it might be 2007, the numbers are so big it doesn't matter to get a fucking couple of years wrong. Since about 2007, the American government has spent $7 billion, $7 billion trying to eradicate heroin production in Afghanistan. I wonder how that's going on. Manufacture is up about 40%. This shit does not work. How about this for an idea? The West, Europe and all nations legalise, regulate and tax. Then they'll have money for rehabs, for education, for health. And there'll be a little kitty of billions of dollars left over for all sorts of other things. Countries like Peru, Venezuela, Bolivia, like Colombia, they need money. They've got a product that people want. Why don't the governments buy it off them? They could have given that fucking 7 billion to Afghanistan for the drugs. Then Afghanistan's got money to build its society. We've got the drugs. We regulate and we tax them and we dish them out. It's insane. You think more people will do drugs if they're legal? They virtually are legal. You can go on the darknet now, make your order, and your postman will bring your fucking methamphetamine to your door by morning. Come on, this is madness. The money wasted on policing the drug war. The prisons are full of people in there for drugs offences. Jesus, imagine a culture where it was all legal. The prisons would almost be empty. The police would have so much time. I was talking to a cop the other day. He said about 90% of his time is wasted, his words, wasted dealing with drug users. This is madness. If alcohol was invented today, there'd be videos of people on the telly going and smashing things up, and it would be like, this evil, sinister liquid, it must be banned. Of course they would, but it's got a foot in, hasn't it? It's been there historically, so we're allowed it. What about old cigarettes that are killing people by the millions? It's crazy. We let them out there though, don't we? Most of the problems in a drug addict's life are due with the law and acquisition. Both of those problems are sorted with regulation and legalisation. Look at Portugal. Portugal has decriminalised all drugs. If you get caught with drugs out there, they offer you help. And they've got the money for it. And the police have been freed up. All sorts of crimes in Portugal have gone down because the police are available to tackle them. This is a no-brainer. And slowly it's happening. You know, you can see like the Portugal example. In Switzerland now, junkies can get heroin off the government. They can go to a safe environment. They can shoot up with people there. They can talk to key workers. They can get information. They're looked after. Has heroin use gone up? No, of course it hasn't. We need to be sensible about this shit. And you know, not all drugs are bad, obviously. We've missed out on some amazing things. Take something incredible like LSD, acid. What a drug. I've done so much acid. Once on acid, I was at college. I shut my eyes, I laid back, and I was taken through a history of language. It was amazing. I learned stuff. I was taken around the Socratic dialectic. I was there with Socrates, he who does not write, and his mate Plato, his star pupil, who wrote it all down. I got to see the Hegelian dialectic in action, visualised. I got to see Marx's dialectic. I learned about semiotics, about sign, about signifier, signified. I learnt about symbols, the lack of the arbitrary signified. This was amazing, all on LSD. You could argue the information was there anyway, but never had I been there in that way. Never was it given back to me in such a way that I could understand it on a deeply, deeply psychological level. Amazing drug. You can't say the same about crack, I get that. That's just hideous. Methamphetamine, hideous. But there's no time here to be saying, oh, that's no good, that's good. People are doing them anyway. Let's do something decent. Let's do something humane. There are people in trouble. They don't need to be in prison. They don't need to be chased around. They don't need to be giving all their money, and by their money I mean your money, to dealers. And when I say your money, of course it is. Check it out. I lived in Paynton once. So many junkies. I must have known about 100 myself. Each one of them needs £50 a day for their heroin and £50 a day for their crack. That's 100 times £100. Yeah, every single day of the year. It's not their money. They're thieving it. They're selling shit. They're robbing stuff and they're paying for it. All of that disappears with legalisation. Yes, there will be other problems. I get that. But nothing on the colossal scale of this absolute fuck up that's going on at the moment. It's madness. Now, I'm going to end this video with something a little bit more light-hearted. Have you heard of a drug called salvia? Well, yeah, I might be coming across like an old man now saying, oh, have you heard of salvia? But when I first done it, no one had heard of it. Well, apart from the bloke that give it to me, and we had to find him at a festival. Salvia divinorum, part of the sage family. It's the diviner's herb, the diviner's sage. It grows like a little leafy plant. You smoke the leaves and you have a really weird trip. Not for me. Too clingy. It made me feel as if I was damp. Am I wet? Am I sweating? Is it cold? Is it warm? Why is everything moving along as if my world were un Rubik cubic that's been made elongoir? Not for me. 15 minutes up, 15 minutes down. Learnt very little, that only that I don't want to do it again. But like I say, they were just leaves. Then they started refining it. And this is another problem of prohibition. You wouldn't have the new concentrated weeds that you've got. You wouldn't have had skunk if it weren't for prohibition. Making drugs stronger is what happens when you prohibit them, because people don't want to be carrying around bigger bulks. Criminals, they want bigger bulks. They want more bang for their buck, more hit for their hock. Little tiny bit. It happened with alcohol, with the prohibition of alcohol. How did that go down? They weren't making beer. Who's going to make beer in a prohibition? No, it's too much. You don't want to be moving around gallons and gallons of lager. You want little bottles of 60% vodka. The same happened with weed. If weed wasn't illegal, we'd still be smoking those lovely original breeds, the Charis, the Acapulco Gold, those kind of lovely pure breeds. Not anymore. Mixed up. The GM of drugs. Crazy. Spice, look at spice, it's fucking madness. Any combustible substance sprayed with a research chemical made to basically be like weed. But it's not. Spice has devastated the homeless communities in this country. And do homeless communities need any more devastation? I don't think so, but it has. You withdraw from spice. You need more, and if you don't get it, you fucking know it. That came out of prohibition too. This is insanity. I doubt we'd have had the crack. I doubt we'd have had methamphetamine. Things we didn't need. They were caused by prohibition. Anyway, salvia. Used to be a leaf. Used to be quite mild. They made it stronger. They called it 10 times. It was an extract. Then they made it stronger again. I think it's actually an ethnogen. It's not actually a hallucinogen. I think it's in a... Look that up. Maybe it's an ethnogen or something. Maybe I got the pronunciation wrong. But Divinorum A is the extract or the active ingredient. Fuck knows. But they made it 10 times 10, then times 20, times 40, times 100. And I've been looking around the internet, and these days apparently you can get times 200. I'm telling you now, the leaves were too much. No one likes it. I don't know anyone who got into salvia and like 2 years later it was like, oh no, yeah, I'm still banging to the salvia. Literally, after your first one, you're like, ooh, nah, fuck that. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with a nice little video. Let's have a look at this lad. He has 40 times what I've just been talking about, salvia. Let's see how he gets on with it.
So good. Alright, good. Phil's first salvia.
It's not like it takes a minute. Like,
not really. It took 20. Hit it. Keep hitting it. Keep hitting it. And the biggest thing.
Doesn't that always happen? Everyone else who's had it and has been going on about it all week, they really want you to know about it. Yeah, go on, hit it, have more, hold it in. No, you got to hold it in, have more. No, really hit it. I know what that is. It's because they had such a massive experience. They want you to have an equally big one. Otherwise, they're going to go, nah, you're obviously weak-willed because that done nothing. Let's see. Let's go.
You can. Hold that shit in. Salvia. What's this, 40X?
Keep in it.
Yeah, 40X. 40X. Phil Collins on that salvia.
Keep holding it, dude. Just hold that shit as long as you can until it comes back. Keep holding it until you can.
And that's it, bang. If you've never done a hallucinogenic drug, I know it's not strictly an hallucinogen, but you know, something with visuals and auditory hallucinations, you have no idea what's happened now. He's no longer with us. He is in a different dimension. He isn't, but his head is interpreting things as such. You can't imagine what that's like. You can turn your head and you'll feel like the temperature has changed, the lighting's changed. You could be in a different room. You might feel 5 years younger. You might feel 5 years older. Everything could be covered in, I remember looking at a wall made of flint once, and it was full of all these, you know, not in full colour, but made out of flint, these little miners, and they were all chipping away at it. But even in between miners, the negative space with another miner, you know, like an Escher drawing. That's where this shit come from. This man is leaving us.
That's fucked up. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, Phil. Are you alright, Phil? Holy fuck, I'm not doing that shit, dude.
You feeling alright, dude?
That's that fucking salvia.
And there you go. While I've been ranting about the legalisation of drugs, I'll leave you with that image. Not to say there aren't issues with my views, but let's be serious. Look at the way we're dealing with drugs now. Is it working? Is it fuck? I'm going to a launch this week of Neil Woods. He wrote a book called Good Cop, Bad War. He spent 10 or 15 years or something as an undercover drugs cop. And he said at the end of it that all he done was ruined people's lives at the bottom of the chain. I mean, you can throw as many junkies in prison as you want. There's another 20 million ready to fill their spots. And at the top, you put them in prison. There's too much money for someone not to take that job. It's not working. Come on, let's sort it out. Look after yourselves. Goodbye.